Welcome to the Rebel Rise podcast, a place where values-driven founders on a mission for more come to connect, learn, and grow. Here, we celebrate the relentless spirit of leaders building businesses that create real good for their clients, communities, and the world. No subject is off limits, and every episode is designed to bring you clear strategy, steady leadership, and people-first operations you can actually sustain. Get ready to grow ethically, lead well, and build something that works without burning you out. Your impact journey begins right here. Let's go. Welcome to this episode of the Rebel Rise podcast. So this week we have my great friend, Brittany Prince. Now she is the founder of Awakened Prana, where she helps women to access deep healing that goes beyond traditional talk therapy. After navigating trauma and single motherhood, Brittany discovered that real transformation required working with her nervous system and body, not just her mind. So what started as her own healing journey through Reiki, breath work, and energy work, it evolved into a business serving women who are already looking for something deeper. With over 20,000 followers and viral content reaching millions, Brittany has built her platform through authentic storytelling and unapologetic messaging that challenges surface level spirituality. So she's known for calling out spiritual bypassing and emphasizing that real healing requires real work. Today, Brittany offers private sessions and one-on-one coaching, helping women to regulate their nervous systems, clear energetic blocks, and finally feel safe and powerful in their own bodies. So, of course, Brittany was a natural fit for me to bring onto this podcast, not only because we have such fantastic conversations offline, but because she's just such a wealth of information, and I personally love the work that you're doing. And so, yeah, I just want to start by welcoming you to the podcast, Brittany.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. And I want to have, I guess, just dive right into Awakened Prana and really what you do, because we have a lot of listeners here who kind of dabble in and out with spirituality and how it either works with their business or maybe just their life in general, and they want to slow down a little bit. So you can feel free to touch on, whatever you want to within your business, because at least as far as I'm aware, I know the energy work that you do, like the light working and the light language that you use, that's a little bit different. So at least from what you see most people doing mainstream, or that's like readily available. So I'd love to have you kind of start talking about that and how you got into this line of work.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start with kind of how I got into all of this. I was not a spiritual person, or I wouldn't have considered myself a very spiritual person, more a religious person. Prior to COVID, I kind of grew up religious and, ventured away from that in my teens and, young adulthood, and then kind of went back because I was searching for, something and kind of understanding that there is something bigger out there, but really that was all I had ever been taught. And COVID hit, I decided to start my first business, which was Fresh and Fit Nutrition. So my background is in nutrition and dietetics, functional medicine. So I started that business, and I had no idea that that was going to propel me on a personal development and spiritual journey and force me to look at every limiting belief, every fear, every doubt, everything about myself in order to grow and to actually be able to serve the people that I was trying to serve. And that is what kind of led me down the path to the energy healing. So I was doing my own trauma healing from my childhood and everything that I had gone through. And I was working with women with autoimmune issues, a lot of gut health and autoimmunity. And I started to recognize this pattern of their unhealed trauma and their dis-ease in their body. And some of my clients were pretty open to trying this type of work. And so I was either referring them or kind of starting to do this work with them on my own. And those that were more open to going deeper instead of just what's my protocol, what supplements am I supposed to take, what, tell me what to eat, they were the ones really doing the deep work. They were having much better results. They were able to, sustain healthier eating, sustain weight loss. And they were just overall, happier, healthier. And I was like, all of this stuff it starts with energy, it starts at an energetic root. And whether that's, when you're young and you feel like you can't speak up, you're not safe to use your voice. It's safe to stay quiet. That eventually may lead to something like Hashimoto's, these patterns and these things. So I started to recognize that. And, I ended up just really feeling like not aligned with nutrition, and like that was not where I was supposed to stay. And that I was supposed to do this deeper energy work, and kind of really getting burnt out there, and then being forced to really dive into nervous system regulation for myself, and getting certified in breath work and just having some profound experiences. I was like, I have to learn how to do this. I want to show other people how to do this. Like, how is something so simple as breathing so transformational in an hour? So that was really how I got started on this path, and how it's evolved. Once I got my Reiki attunement, and I would say like I wasn't, aware of like a whole lot of energy, right? Like, I mean, I could obviously like feel energy, and you can pick up on people's emotions, and very empathic, but no energy healing experience, at least in this life. But once I got that first Reiki attunement, things just started opening up to me. Plant medicine has also been a very big part of my journey. And through that plant medicine, I've had some pretty profound, not only like trauma healing and stuff like that, but some pretty profound spiritual experiences. And that was really what triggered the light language. My belief is we are kind of living in a video game, I guess. And, our souls, our higher selves are these powerful incarnations. And this is just one piece of the life that all the lives that soul is living. And so I've remembering who I am on a soul level, and that is the light language that comes through. It's really just it's healing, it's frequency, it's sound. Some of it is not really translated or anything to words. It's more like a message, like a download or something like that. But it has been very beneficial to my clients, me being able to channel.
I love that you do that. And I know I experienced my first healing session with you. We did it on Halloween too, which was kind of fun when the veil was like super thin. But that was my first experience too with the light languages. But it felt like you were also, because you were channeling in that way, you were also able to get through a lot of things more quickly. And I don't know if it's just because I was so open to it, or if it happens typically like that in your sessions, but it felt like we just got a lot of stuff done. And I know you can't get everything you need in one session, of course, but it felt like we got lots of things like cleaned up, cleared away, like detached, like all of that stuff. So is that normally your experience when you do channel like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the guides and my higher self, like they're pretty quick. I may not be able to like see everything that's going on myself, but they know what's going on, so they kind of guide, what needs to be cleared. And I just ask, I'm like, okay, let's go here, let's do this, like let's go. And then they take care of everything. So yeah, it's usually a pretty quick experience, but it's definitely helpful, I think, when people are more open, because I do have people that book with me who are maybe a little more reserved about it, or a little suspicious of it, not totally sure about what it is or if it really works. And they still definitely, have some profound experiences, but I can feel the difference in the way the energy is received when someone is more open and excited for the session as opposed to a little more cautious about what is this whole thing,
Right. Yeah. Definitely better to be like, oh, I'm curious about what's happening versus this isn't going to do anything for me.
Right.
I'm just here to prove that it's not going to work.
Yeah. In those cases, it's likely not going to work then, because our mind is plays such an important role in our healing.
So on that note, if there's somebody out there, because I remember also being this person when you're just first getting started with spirituality or doing this type of energetic work, when you want to be open to it, but you really don't know what to expect. And anytime you start to like crack the door open, it kind of scares the shit out of you. And I think that's really why we put those walls up. How do you walk people through that if they're curious about it and they want to be more involved with that? Like, how do you walk people through that?
I really try having people focus on like connecting with themselves. And like, a lot of people ask me like, how do you know who you're communicating with? Or how do you know it's safe? Like, what if it's evil? And so getting people regulated, getting their nervous system to a point that's safe. Nutrition still is a big part of what I do, just because if your gut is unhealthy, you're not going to be able to feel your intuition. You're not going to be able to like receive the messages. So, when they are new to this process, really going deep within, having that regulated nervous system, being able to trust their intuition, to not have that fear. That being said, I will say that I have had moments in my spiritual journey where I'm like, am I crazy? Like, is this real? And it can be very scary and it can be very jarring, especially because there's not a lot of people you can talk to about it, right? Like, if I told most people what happens to me and like, while I'm meditating in my sessions during my journey, like they would be like, lady, you are crazy. And I actually have had people tell me that I'm crazy, and that's fine. I think it's crazy to live in the matrix and listen to the media and, obey the government. So, we're just two different types of crazy, we each think each other's crazy. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and I feel like sometimes I bounce a little bit back and forth because like with social media, right? Like building my business, I'm like on social media a lot, and it will just start to throw the media at you, and you've got to be very careful to not get sucked into that rabbit hole. And I know some people just stay there, and I don't think that they intend to. You can't help yourself because it's designed that way. So having that self-awareness too of, pulling yourself out of it at least, or right. Realizing like that's why you're so closed off, and that's maybe why you're so negative about things, because you're surrounded by that.
Right.
And so I know that's not exactly what you're saying, but I'm just like kind of building off of that.
Yeah.
There are, two different types of crazy depending on which side of the pendulum you're on, but you can pick your journey. And so like that was kind of what started to open me up to spirituality too, was like, I would rather focus on like the magic of what's possible and what the reality could actually be. And there's so many things we don't have the answers to anyway.
Right.
But like, why not explore this and talk to our guides and, meditate and see what could we, could open up in our minds about other realms or whatever, rather than just saying, well, no, we're here and then we die. And that's it.
Right. Like that's so boring. And my goodness, I hope so not true. I know it's not true, but like, can you imagine? Like that wouldn't even make sense because, we're here to learn and grow. Just one life. Like that's it. And all of it, like just one shot. That's all you got. Like, I don't know. Right. That doesn't really make sense to me. And, there's so many people that have memories of these past life experiences and, lots of crazy stories with kids remembering stuff and, just really like, so I think more people are awakening now and seeing like, okay, maybe what we've been told our whole lives isn't true,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of truth sprinkled in, whether that comes, from religion or government history, all of that stuff. People are really starting to become more aware and being like, yeah, something's not right here. But that's why I think it's really important to tune in to yourself on this journey, because even in the spiritual community, there are a lot of like people who are not good people. They are charging a lot of money and they are not living in alignment with like what they say. And
Yeah.
that bothers me because people are very vulnerable in this state, because literally like
Yeah.
you're basically waking up to the fact that like your entire life is a lie, right? Like nothing is real. Like, I mean, it's like life shattering, right? Like your identity, like all of these things. And it can, they call it the dark night of the soul, right? And then you have these like spiritual, like snake oil salesmen that are like, oh, if you want to, I'm this guru, if you want to reach God, like if you want to, connect with creator source, pay me and we'll do some ayahuasca. And, and they're just not embodying true spirituality. And that's frustrating, and it gives people a bad taste about spirituality, And to me, this new age spirituality is, crazy. And I follow some of it and, some of it's fun, whatever. But, spirituality really is, we are spirits living a human existence. So everything is spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And I had a feeling that this was going to come up, like the real spirituality versus like the mass marketed, like really just for sales. And what's so interesting about that too is I see that in my industry too, in like coaching and consulting, where there's so many people who, and I know this is different, so I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but I see it a lot where people just decide that they want to start selling something because they think it's marketable or because they have an audience, and they're like, screw it, I'm just going to sell this and I'm going to charge this amount, and then we're not really worried about what the outcome is, right? Like at least as the seller, right? And it really, at least in my industry, it has really damaged the trust factor with those of us who are actually trained to guide people through the process of optimization, regardless of what avenue that is, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, consulting, it doesn't matter. So do you experience that as well, having that be the case in your industry?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I will say that even, because I started in nutrition, not so much the spiritual
Mhm.
industry, right? So I hired right away when I started my business and business coaches. They're just really not authentic. They talked a lot of game and didn't really follow up. And it was a lot of expensive lessons learned, grateful for them, right? But still, ouch,
Yeah.
and there is just, and I see that, in going out and networking, because I don't just want to be in the spiritual community, right? Like I want to be around entrepreneurs, like,
Right.
me doing sessions is not my only, that's not my ultimate goal. Like I want to grow, what I do and reach more people in, a number of different ways. So being around those like-minded people is very important for me, and investing in myself and investing in that business coaching and that type of relationship. And I've just learned, over the years to be a lot more discerning with who you trust, and really like what they're providing, and make sure that you're a good energetic match. Because even with my one-on-one clients, like if it's not a good match, I don't want to take your money. Like we're
Right.
both gonna
Yeah.
be miserable, like, and then that just looks bad on me. So I don't understand why so many people in the online space and coaching industry just in general, whether it's spiritual or business or whatever.
So when you are having conversations with people, knowing that this is an issue in the coaching and consulting world and the spiritual world, do you find that you have a lot of people come to you who are really skeptical because they've been burned from having some kind of energetic session that they felt like they got absolutely nothing out of?
Not so much. I have come across that. I think more of my clients, they've kind of been doing a lot of this work and they're kind of used to it. They're just like ready to go a little deeper. Some of them, yeah, they've told me about different sessions that they've had and they're like, I don't know what happened and, if anything, and that's unfortunate. I always try to, communicate with people like, I know that none of this like seems real with what I do, but it is making a difference. Like I see, and usually people can feel it, they can feel things being pulled off of them or feel me like in certain areas of their body. So that is helpful. But yeah, luckily I haven't personally like experienced a lot of that. I think a lot of times when people get burned like that with sessions, they tend to just not go back, or
Yeah.
not try it again,
Yeah, that's fair. So in your sessions, I know when I sat with you, you were checking for all kinds of different things. Like there's different modalities that you do in your sessions. So do you want to talk about that? Because I really want people to understand what it is that's different about what you do, because regardless of whether somebody is like new to this and wants to explore it, or they want to go deeper, like you just said, I want them to have a full understanding of what your experience is, because personally, I just feel like it was so unique and like so many things were covered.
Yeah, so every session is definitely unique. I call in my spirit team, my higher self. I call in, my client's spirit team and their higher self to come through, and they typically kind of guide the session. I do have kind of like a set of things that I go through initially, especially when it's my first time working with someone. Like if they have any entities or attachments, I want to get rid of those, right away. So that's kind of where I start. And we dive into past life stuff. I clear out the ancestral line. We break any like curses, psychic attacks, contracts, vows, anything from like that's attached to your soul. And I do most of that through channeling the light language. And how I feel that come in, it's very interesting. I feel my higher self. She comes in on the back left side of me, and I just feel kind of tingly right here, and I close my eyes for the most part, and I will just channel. I don't understand actually how it all works. I just know what spirit has told me, about how it works. And then depending on the session, what's going on, we may do inner child healing. So I might, guide someone back kind of almost hypnotically, kind of taking them, really relaxing them back to a time when, they were a child and faced a trauma, so that they can go back and kind of remedy that situation and clear the energy and give their inner child the support that they needed at that time. We also do like some shadow work on the calls. What are these triggers coming up? Why is that? Getting to the root of that. We do a lot of limiting belief clearing, all of these programmed thoughts of I'm not worthy, or it's hard to make money, or, different things that, we all have. So I work on clearing those out of the energetic field. And then I do Reiki too, and then I'll balance the chakras, cleanse the aura, and then I usually do a little reading so that they have a little guidance moving forward on, next steps and what to do there. But yeah, every session's unique. So, but I do try to get as much as I can in that hour.
So it's fair to say then somebody could come to you and be like, there's something that I need to work out, but I don't know what it is, or would they need to know a specific issue?
No, they don't need to know specifics. I've actually been I've actually been working on crafting something based on my sessions, because I feel sometimes for me, like, it might not be shown to me unless I ask, right? And I do find that with some other healers that I've worked with, because I work with one person, they didn't pick up on something that another person picked up on. So
Mm-hmm.
all our gifts are different, and they don't need to know what it is that they have to work out. I'm kind of developing a system these based on all my calls, basically, and kind of what people have been struggling with and what has come up, so that I can go through. And I don't know if you're familiar with like the body and emotion code. Um,
No,
and
actually.
I for, I forget the guy's name who created it. So it's like, the body keeps the score, right? Like,
That
so
one I
our
know.
traumas live in our tissues. So the body and emotion code, it's a certification program. It's also like a book, a couple books, and you can get certified to be a practitioner. Well, he has like these ways that he'll like go. He's like, okay, it's either like mental, emotional, it could be a toxin, or, whatever's going on. So based on his system, I have developed a list going through of like, okay, this is like the pattern. All right, here's the pattern. Say they're like, they can't be in a good relationship. They're always attracting like this same type of man, in their lives, and they're really looking for a healthy relationship. I do this with like either muscle testing, just like I did in functional medicine, or I can use divination rods or a pendulum, and I'm asking, is this energetic? Like, is this, a physical issue? Is this a belief issue? Is this, a past life issue? And so I'm getting down to like the root cause of the issue. And so that might be them needing to, go have that inner child moment with their inner child. Or that might be just me like clearing something that, from a past life that's been, blocking them, whatever that is. It's going to be unique. But I've been working on developing this. It's not quite there yet, but it is kind of based on his system. And then very similar to, I worked with a functional medicine doctor when I was in nutrition, and he had his own system that he had developed over years of how he would muscle test, his patients in terms of like their, illnesses and stuff. But I'm not really just focused on illnesses. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about patterns and behaviors and, all of these different things that could be affecting people.
Tell me about the journeys, because this is something that I'm so curious about. Because, and for those of you who are listening, if you don't follow Brittany, you should, because she will also openly share her experiences with her journey. She puts them out, and so they're interesting for me to see, to witness you experiencing the journeys. I've never done one, and so I think you mentioned you facilitate them as well. So
Yeah.
tell me about those, because I've heard stories about them, and I know there's all kinds of different types of journeys. So
Hmm.
really, this is just for the benefit of my own curiosity, but let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in my younger days, early teens, I was like a big raver. So like hallucinogens, those were super fun. I never had, any fear around starting them again back in 2021, really, when I was like expanding my spiritual awakening. And so I started doing them, and I started having these profound experiences. And then I kind of taken them for a little bit, and ended up having a friend get me some. And I think this is like probably like 2023, or maybe it was 2024. Yeah, I think it was 2024. And the beginning, and he got me some again. And I had the craziest experience. I mean, my third eye hurt for like 3 days after that. I still don't understand why they showed me some of the things that they showed me, but I was like, holy shit. like, wow. And so then after that, I was like, I want to keep doing these more often.
Yeah.
And, so I kept doing them. And eventually I got to a point where it was a little hard for me to get them, or I didn't really necessarily enjoy who I was having to go get them from. Someone who sells all the party favors, and I'm over here trying to spiritually evolve, and I'm like, who grew these? What's the vibration? Like,
Right. Yeah.
what's going on? Growing them myself, actually pretty easy.
Good way to control the environment.
And I give them energy healing every day. I channel to them. They are so cool. And so in doing that, I've got to try all of these different strains. And I have learned that there's like an overall like mushroom spirit, right? This is like the collective consciousness of all the mushrooms, right? But then each mushroom species like has its own beings. Like
Okay. Interesting.
and I will say that these beings can they can mess with you, or they can really like help you. But I've learned that each journey is different. So each mushroom is different, the experience is different, like what happens. Some are really good for like healing trauma, some are a lot more visual. I would channel a lot more. And so I really got to experience all of these different strains. And about 6 months ago, I had a new strain. And if anyone's curious, Golden Halo. And I took them, and I was releasing a lot of like stuff. I was trying to figure out something, specific of why I was in the place that I was in. And I ended up purging. I purged so much. I don't even know how I did that much. And after that happened, I brush my teeth, I like wipe my face off, and I'm standing at the sink and I take this breath in, and then all of a sudden I feel my higher self like come in to my body. Like I feel warm and tingly, and I'm contorting, and like I literally look like I'm possessed or so, like it looks wild. It's insane. And that happened for like 20 minutes, and then I kind of calmed down, and I was like, whoa, that was so weird. Like what was that? Like what? So then I take them again, and it happens again. And I've taken different mushrooms in between. Didn't happen with those ones. These ones happens again. And I'm like, dude, what is happening? So I'm trying to ask my guides. I don't really get super clear answers sometimes, which is frustrating. So then the next time I go to take them, I'm like, can I record this? Because I gotta like watch this back. And usually they don't like me recording anything. Like it's very weird with the cameras. They'll glitch out. Like, so they started letting me record these experiences. And first I had 7. And they said it was basically like they were going into each of my chakras and instilling my higher self's essence in them. Or maybe the first time around, maybe they were just healing them. But the second time around, they have been instilling my higher self's essence into me. So I will feel like it's almost like they're operating on me. It's pretty crazy. It feels like there's an actual like needle going in my head. It feels like this warm liquid that they put on me. Like it'll be like in my chakra or like on my head. I can feel them all around me. I can't see them. The light changes a lot, and the video will get like kind of blurry a little bit, and it's just my cell phone like up on a tripod. Like I'm not changing the lighting. I'm laying in bed. So that's been very interesting. I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but I know every time it happens, I am able to channel, like I feel like my gifts are expanding when it happens. At the same time, it's a very odd experience. Like, I'm like, wait, am I even human anymore? I don't know. So that has been my journey experience, especially lately.
Yeah, that sounds like a one that's probably more advanced. Or if you had somebody come to you and was like, "I want to do my first journey," would you give them that?
Oh, no, no. So definitely, like, I typically start people off with microdoses anyways, just kind of seeing, um, how they do, what changes, they notice. They often notice, better focus, clarity, just even being nicer to people, or
That's
seeing
great.
like their own shadows of, oh, I realized like where I wasn't treating my partner well, or where I was getting like too angry with my kids and snapping. So that's typically what I do. I have been getting into the bigger facilitated journeys, more so with people that I know right now, until I feel a little more confident in that. But it has been, very profound. My client recently was able to connect with her father's higher self and heal a lot of stuff from her childhood. And mind you, her father is not passed. Like, like he's still on this earth, but she was still able to communicate with him in a way that she can't to his, face in person. And that was, very healing for her. So, I know that the mushrooms they're just amazing. Like, I'm so grateful for what they've done for me, and I just want to share that with more people. I'm excited about, the research that's being done, illegalization. Hopefully, mushrooms are made more widely available to more people, because I really do think that they could solve a huge chunk of the mental health crisis and the addiction crisis, and so much of people's pain and what they have going on, because it just opens up so much love and so much beauty, and you understand things from a whole different perspective, and it's just a really amazing feeling.
Yeah. And how do you feel that doing this kind of work, or maybe not doing the work, but experiencing the work, like for a client, somebody who comes to you or maybe considering coming to you, how can that like greater impact? You mentioned focus, but like their goals, their relationships, like really the things that maybe they've got in the back of their mind that they really want to make happen for themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in entrepreneurship, I don't only work with females. I mostly, promote to females, but one of, my male clients, he is an entrepreneur. We have started with the microdosing, and he's like, wow, I have like so much clarity now on like where I'm going in my business and what I'm doing. And, my other clients just being with their kids and being able to have more fun and more play, and opening up deeper conversations, and deeper relationship with their partners and their work and their goals in life. It just really can impact every area of their life, and it helps them see things, like see themselves for like who they truly are, away from the labels, away from the trauma, away from, all the limiting stuff and the programming. It really helps you get that mental clarity, and remember that you're love.
Yeah. So, what I'm enjoying about this is that a lot of people who do energy healing, they kind of hang out in their own circles with other energy healers and other yoga instructors. Like it's all kind of kept into that world. So, what I love about you, and actually, I met you at an entrepreneur event. So, you're out there networking and working with entrepreneurs, and you're not like mainstreaming it, but in a way you kind of are. Like That's what I'm really enjoying about like getting to know more about you and your business is you're making it feel more normal and less like taboo. Like I have to be super woo woo in order to come and experience and to benefit from it.
Right. I want it to be open to more, more people who are just curious, right? Like, they're kind of awakening. They're like, but that extremely woo person wearing crystals on their head and talking about rubbing their, moon blood all over their body, that's gonna turn off some people. Like I'm a human. I've had a human experience. I, have lived this, real life. I'm a real person who is just trying to incorporate this stuff into my daily life. I'm not trying to, well, I do want to go live in the jungle, but, not trying to just like, woo, and be airy fairy and, like some of the spiritual circle can, be. I watch some funny videos on Instagram of like making fun of spiritual people. I'm like, oh, I've met some people like that,
right. Yeah.
It's so I think, trying to be more mainstream. And, when I facilitate the group breathwork classes in town, like I want normal everyday people to come and experience the power of the breath and the power of energy healing and walk away from that and be like, wow, like that was so profound. Like I'm so curious now. Like I want to try more. And, I'm so grateful. Some of the people that come to my classes, they're now certified in breathwork from my mentor. And it started with them coming to my classes and, just having such an amazing experience that they, were like, I want to do this for other people too.
If people want to connect with you, how will they find you? How can they book a session? Can they do in person? Can they do remote?
Yes, I have both remote virtual sessions over Zoom and then in person. I'm mobile. So like I have clients that will like to have like friends over and have like events, like breathwork events. So, I can travel to your house, Reiki, I can travel to your house as well. And now I also have my healing room in my apartment as well in Scottsdale. You can find everything either on my website, which is awakenedprana.io, or on my Instagram, awakened_prana. My link in bio is there. That's my link tree. It'll take you to my sessions, all of my stuff there.
Perfect. And we'll make sure that we put all this in the show notes too, as always, so it's nice and easy. And if you're considering connecting with her anywhere and exploring, highly recommend her Instagram. She's always got so much really great information too about what she does. And again, watching her journeys and stuff, if anything, it's great education too. If you're somebody who's just interested in going on a journey, or not like a journey like what we're talking about, but like a spiritual journey,
right?
And just kind of understanding what it's like. It doesn't feel as elusive when you look at Brittany's content. So definitely want you to check that out. And yeah, I've never told you that about your content, but that's how I feel about it. So yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and for being with us today. And I'm so excited to come and get another session from you. I know we've been talking about that. And so I'm excited about my next one, but thank you for being here with us. And I'm excited to see where you go next with your business.
You as well. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Rebel Rise podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and invite your friends to join us next week. This is your time. Now get out there and rise.